So this is the picture I wanted everybody to look at. It's when I talk about root down into the core, that's the core.
You're thinking
Molten lava.
Yes.
Or it's the core, that's the core of it. So you can see it right in the center. There is an actual, looks like a ball. And that's what I'm talking about, is tapping into the core of the earth. And we draw from that core into our body. So we're drawing it from the earth. So, and we have to kind of use our visualization for that, because it's actually, the energy is actually there. But that's why we use visualization.
So it is real, but we're generally oblivious to what's actually happening.
Yes.
Because we are actually pulling electromagnetic energy from the earth all the time, whether we want to or not.
Right.
But to be aware of it suddenly begins to enliven all sorts of things inside, because it's like, oh my goodness,
there's something really there.
Something really there.
And when I was being taught this, about my teacher would always say, root down into the core of the earth, into the molten lava. And I'm like, well, what the heck is that? I couldn't visualize it. And then, I don't know if I was telling you that, when I went to Joshua Tree, California, they have molten lava rock that has come from the crust of the earth. And when I saw that, it was like, oh, so that's, and it looked different from the other rocks. The molten lava looked different. And that was such a great visual for me, because then I was able to see, oh, there really is something that's called molten lava. I didn't know what it was.
So were you able to also touch it?
Oh, yeah, you could climb on it.
Did you notice anything different?
I didn't.
But that's all right. At different seasons of our life, we're more.
Yeah. I did feel an energy in Joshua Tree itself. There's this energy. There's this energy you can't even describe. So I think I felt it because there's just something about Joshua Tree that you feel. And
I've never been there, but I've heard.
Yeah, I was very drawn to it. We were very attracted to it, and we couldn't get enough of it. So there was definitely an energy there that you could feel. But that's what it is. But then when I started looking at pictures online of in the core of the earth, these would all be coming up. And it's an actual, looks like a ball in the center that's very hard.
But it says solid metal. It's not really metal though, is it?
No, I think it's just metal composites. I think it's minerals, and it's made up of iron and all kinds of different kinds of elements. And it creates this very, very hard ball. But around it, the material is soft, which is kind of unusual, because you have this hard element, and then you have the soft element around it, and then you have these different layers, and then of course you have the crust, and then you have the outer atmosphere. So that's what I'm talking about when I say root down into the core of the earth. That's what we're referring to. So
it gives you a good point.
Yeah, a good visual to understand. Like you were saying, Liz, like we know it, but is it real? Yeah, is it real? Yeah, exactly. Is it real? Because we're skeptics. Unless we don't see it, we don't believe it. And for me, that made the difference to actually see that difference. So we'll get started with our class, and it looks like the two of you. I think there were supposed to be more people. By the afternoon, sometimes our schedules start to get away from us, and it is beach time, so.
And lots of yard work. So
I set an
alarm today.
Oh, good. So you didn't miss this class. So we are we're coming into our third week of late summer season. The element is earth. And so I'll be talking a lot about what that means. And the main organs that we work with is the spleen and the stomach meridian. Stomach organs. And they're partners with each other. The stomach digests our food. We eat our food. It breaks down with the enzymes in our mouth. It comes down into the stomach. The stomach starts to break it down a little bit. That goes into the spleen. And then the spleen is the transporter of the nutrients. So the spleen takes care of all the organs with different nutrients. The idea that what happens is this time of year, because it's so damp and so hot, the digestive system and spleen don't like damp and hot, although we do need warmth for digestion to break down. So it's kind of intuitive, but we have a tendency of wanting to drink lots of cold stuff, ice cream, things like that, which doesn't help the body to break down food. Warmth breaks down food.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so try to drink things that are more tepid. Like I leave my water pitcher out. I don't keep it in the refrigerator anymore.
I do too.
Yeah, so that helps to break down your food. If you're doing cold, then the spleen has to work harder to break it down and to get to the different parts of your body. So what happens, we see a lot at this time of year, is a lot of edema in the lower extremities, especially in the feet, because the spleen, that's an indication that that spleen is not properly working. We're not circulating, and it gets it starts to pull down, the toxins start to pull down if they're not circulating. And oh, hey, Mary Catherine. That's okay. That's okay. Get a seat. And so the whole, this whole thing about circulation, it's just so important to keep ourselves circulated. And if you start noticing that your feet are getting swollen, that's an indication that you need to do some work on the spleen, get some circulation going, work with some meridian points. And also, if you notice yourself bruising a lot, that's another indication of this.
That's what I was asking last week.
Is spleen.
I have a daughter who's sent me a picture of bruises down her thigh.
Oh.
And my first thought was scurvy. What was my second thought? I can't remember. There's another nutrient that if you're missing it, you can end up with.
Okay. So that could be spleen. So you could tell her to watch her diet, maybe watch.
Well, she generally does.
Okay.
Inadequate protein.
Inadequate
you don't
protein.
Have enough protein.
Okay. Just maybe ask her, are you eating a lot of cold foods? She might not know that difference. Okay. And then the other thing is the meridian points on her feet. So if we want to do some slapping of her feet,
yeah.
I know Mary Catherine loves slapping her.
Well, we did that a lot last
We did.
winter.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and you reminded me of that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's take off our shoes. So I had showed the girls, and I'll show you after. I have a picture of the core of the earth. Like I have a picture of the earth cut in half.
Yeah.
And you can actually see where that core is. Mm-hmm. So when I talk about tapping into the core of the earth, we have like a visual of that actual. In my class this week, the ones that I teach on Zoom, I had everybody go outside, and we tapped into the earth with our feet. Like we tapped into that energy. Because when you do it outside, I'm going to encourage you to do this also when you have time. Is to just go outside and stand on the earth and come into mountain and just feel the energy beneath your feet, into the earth. And then when you raise your arms up, then you look up at the sky, at the cosmos. So we're going to do that again today, but try to do that when you get a chance. Like if you even have a deck or something, there's something about looking up and seeing that beautiful sky rather than being inside and really taking in all that energy. But so let's start with our feet, with the spleen, and we can simply, and it's really good to get used to doing this every day. Like maybe before you put your shoes on for the day, just remember, I'm just going to give myself some good circulation to my feet, and you can just start tapping it. And if this is all you have time for the day, like if you're ready to go out and you just have no time to do anything else, just if you can at least take care of the feet, especially for this time of year, because the spleen and the stomach, the meridians are in the feet, and the liver and the kidneys, which are all part of that whole area. So just by simply doing this, we'll start activating some of that circulation. And then that spleen, that is a really good one. You don't want to do this if you're pregnant. Or if you're going to decide to rub somebody's feet that's pregnant, you don't want to do this meridian. But it is right. Show my foot, my big foot. Just follow. There's a line here. You can see where your tan line is. Everybody have a tan line on their foot, like where it's white. You just kind of follow that line, and there's you'll feel like a hollow. Usually, a lot of the meridians are in a hollow little.
It's right at before your heel.
Yeah.
Starts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it tends to be tender.
It's tender.
Yeah. So just what you do is just press your thumb is usually a good finger to use. Just press it in, hold it for a second, and then release. And that's kind of like a plunger to a toilet. It just like sucks up all the toxins out of the foot. So if you're having any kind of spleen stuff, if you notice like you have the edema, you have bruising, if you're very lethargic, just do a couple of these. I call it like a turbocharger flusher. It gets all the toxins out of the feet and starts.
Can you live without a spleen?
Certainly.
Do you know?
What's that? You can live without a spleen. You can live without a spleen and a gallbladder. And if you do, then there's way, you know, I'm sure I'm not, because you have the energetic meridian still.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like you don't lose the energetic piece of it. But, and again, if somebody had lost their spleen, they probably really want to be careful with foods they eat, things like that. So let's do the other foot. So again, you know, think about the next time you put your shoes on or even your sandals, think, oh, I'm going to, and it feels good for me to rub my feet. It feels good when somebody else does it, but, but you know, you're giving yourself some self-care by just doing that. So the big toe on the outside edge of the nail is your spleen meridian. The inside edge of the big toe is your liver. And the second toe, like this little pink, this little goes to the market. What is that? The second toe is your stomach. Yeah. So you have right here, we're going to do some movements today that are going to tap into these 2 points. And then at the bottom of the ball mount is your kidney. So you've got your liver, your kidney, your spleen, and your stomach all here, right in this area. So that's what's important about this, just giving this stuff a little massage, a little slapping, and we'll work on that one spleen area, turbocharge. So the spleen area, you might want to show your daughter at this particular point. Might be helpful for her. Both feet, even though we have one spleen, which is on the left side of your body, we still work both sides.
This is such an important organ. How about pancreas?
Pancreas is as important, but
Is that around the toe also?
It's a good question. I don't know where the pancreas.
You can't live without that one, so it's pretty significant.
Yeah. I'll get back to that. I'm not sure where that particular meridian is. I don't know. I'll get back to you if you get more information on that. It's a good question.
And someone has said that about enzymes, we only have a set number. We can eat them in our food if our food is still, if it hasn't overcooked.
Right.
But we have enzymes, but we only have so many. And when we run out of those so many enzymes, that's when we begin to decay and then eventually die.
Well, it's interesting you say that because we can actually create our own enzymes, and I'm going to show you.
I need to know this.
Yeah.
But I figured it had something to do with the pancreas.
Yeah.
So.
No. So, and we've done it before. I'm just going to. I'll show you again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what it's on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, we're good.
Yeah, you were paying attention that day. So then do your turbocharger spleen. It's spleen number 6. Just kind of follow that tan line down to that kind of a hollow point right there, and it's like a little gully. And a lot of the meridians points are on these gullies. So that is spleen.
Do we know why?
I think it's just like running between, a meridian might not run along right on top of a bone. I think they have their own place, you know.
Okay.
So then you would just press in and release, press in a couple of times and release, and kind of give a little turbocharge, get some movement there. And then we'll come to the let me bring this down to the knees where we have our major stomach meridian. And if you put your hands on your knees, your third finger will be, so you're holding the front of your knee and your third finger just touches, you can feel that bone right there. Then take your ring finger, and where the ring finger is, you'll feel another little pocket. That's the stomach. So by just doing these 2 points every day would be really helpful this time of year, especially. And you can massage them, you can tap them, you can make like little beaks with your fingers and just kind of tap. So, we can work on doing our own acupuncture. Once you get to know certain meridians, you could, help yourself. And then also this all helps to regulate these particular organs that are at high tide this time of year. We call that high tide this time of year, are these 2 organs. And you just kind of tap, and you can also massage them. So they're easy to get to also.
Deborah, I have a question for
Yeah.
you. Is it harder for our bodies when it's hot and humid like this time of year?
Yeah.
Is that more stress? Because I feel like it's more stress on my body.
Okay.
Out and walking, especially now with the face mask on, and it's like 95 degrees.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
I feel like it gets depleted.
I get depleted.
I get exhausted.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so the spleen does not like hot and damp.
Oh, well, my spleen.
Yeah. Yeah, the spleen doesn't like hot and damp weather, so that would make you more lethargic. So the spleen's going to work overtime. So really be careful that you're not eating lots of cold foods, because we're tempted to eat a lot of cold foods this time of year. Keep up with circulating the body. You might not. So this is a good time to work on our muscle mass, rather than maybe running, but doing some dynamic tension, starting a program for muscle strengthening, because it's a great time to do that rather than in a cold weather where you're going to pull something because your bones and your muscles are cold. And we want to start bringing muscles to the bones this time of year also, because we want to go into the winter with some muscle, because there's protein in muscle and we need that for the cold weather. So instead of going outside, of course, we're going to be tired. Humidity is very exhausting. I mean, it's and like you said, with the mask, it's just we're sucking in our own oxygen. 70% of our toxins come out through the exhalation. If you have a mask on, it's like coming right back into your body. So that's going to make you feel kind of loopy too. So we have to be careful. It's a good point. We have to be careful with these masks. It's important to wear them, but if you can avoid wearing them for hours and hours and hours, or take them off in between. So a lot of different points of view I know in the masks, but for just for that reason alone, we have to be careful we're not taking in all those toxins back into our lungs.
I think that's more critical than the danger of.
Yeah, it's creating a lot of respiratory diseases.
I
They're saying.
agree, more dangerous than the virus itself
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
Unless you live in a nursing home.
Right, and you really
Right.
gotta compromise.
Yeah.
Condition.
Yeah. So we have to keep up with our immune system. So let's come to standing. Also, we're coming up, they're saying that, flu season's coming up. We want to get ready for that. So it's important now to start really honing in on all this stuff. Let's see if I am in the box here.
Are you recording or?
I am recording. Action. It's not right yet. I'm still not there. And you know how someday I just don't like how I look today. So.
I have those things too.
I'm on film. Oh, you're just.
You look like a hug. You look like a hug. So glad to be
If only I could get a hug. I mean, that would be nice. So let's just start shaking. So again, Mary Catherine, you had said it's, your body doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So do this stuff.
Okay.
Just keep it, the big thing is circulation. I was telling them before, we have to circulate the body. This is an easy way. We don't need to go out and run, 4 miles to circulate. Just jumping up and down. Jumping up and down on the heels are real important because that moves our lymphatics. So that when everything slows down in the hot and the humid and the damp weather, and that's why we swell. So it's important to keep our body circulated. So when you think about it, it's like our body, it's like a pool. If you don't put the pump on in the pool, it's going to get green and mucky. If we don't get the pump going in our body and we're older and it's harder, then we're going to get, you know, it's painful. I was swollen it was painful,
Yeah.
you know, swelling. It's inflammatory. So we got to get the circulation going, and notice if it makes a difference. I think once we notice the difference it makes in our life, we want to do it more.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. Now I'm at the point, if I don't do something in the morning, I don't feel right.
Wow.
You know, so I try to do it every day, something. But in the morning or any time of day, especially if you're feeling sluggish or you're feeling swollen, you need to start getting the pump on. And then stop and feel that tingling.
Delightful.
Yeah, delightful tingling. And then let's start our tapping. We'll tap our head, get some circulation to the brain. This is all, a lot of gallbladder meridians are in the head. And then take it down to, right to the temples is a nice point, and then bring it to the orbit of the eye. This is stomach 1 meridian. Again, all part of this season, so just doing this will help. Take it down to the mouth. That's
So it's too bad that culturally we don't provide this for our residents of nursing homes, because how nice this would be.
I know it's easy to do too. You
Right.
can easily do, but
Yeah.
anybody can tap, you know. And then let's tap our chest. And you can do it. I like to do it this way to start, but some people might have large, you know, and it might be hard. So we could do this too. So you can just do one hand at a time. But what I want you to do is get used to tapping this whole area is the lungs. It's also the heart meridian, the kidney meridian. There's a lot of meridians that intersect right up here. So this whole area is really good to keep pulsating, tapping, keeping it clear and active. Then the thymus, right in the center of the chest. Want to keep that nice and circulated, pink and large and pink. Yeah. And then we're going to do our spleen meridian, which is, so the spleen is on our left side, but it's right here. It's right. This is, this would be your right side facing me. So I'll pretend I'll mirror you. The spleen is a fist big, and it sits underneath the last rib, right under, that's where it's housed, right there. So that's where that spleen is. The liver is really huge. The liver is as big as a football. Yeah, it's one of the largest organs, and the skin is really the largest organ, but that solid organ is the liver, and it's a football, which is very
Bigger if it's not healthy.
What's that?
Bigger if it's not healthy. It's bigger than a football.
Yeah, it could be
If
explosive.
it's not healthy.
Yeah, it's a big organ. I didn't notice how big that was. And then let's do our kidneys, and the adrenals are right on top of the kidneys. And then we're going to slap down the backs of our legs, and then around the feet, and then we're going to come up, and then again, let's tap the stomach meridian again on the outside of the knees, and then come up the front of the legs, and then we're going to tap the sides and go right down the sides of the legs, and also tapping, and then the inside. Tappings are really good for bone density, and then come up. And we'll be talking about bones for the winter. And then tap right here in the groin area. We have a lot of lymph nodes right here. A lot of lymph nodes here, a lot here. We're just covered with lymph nodes. That's why the lymphatic fluid needs to be circulated. And then stop and hold. Notice how that feels. And let's shake out the hands. Let's do crossovers. So I love crossovers. I have to do this in the morning because it gets my brain going. So I try to do all of my work, my brain stuff in the morning, which is the best time to do it because it's the spleen and stomach time. And the spleen is all about transporting and assimilating thinking. That's the energetic piece of the spleen. Now, Western science will not tell you that. But that's part of Eastern science. So it has an emotionality, which is worry, and it also has an energetic, function, which is assimilating. So we assimilate our thoughts, right? So that's why it's such a good time to do busy work, brain work, that kind of thing. It's a good time for kids to learn. maybe write a paper. And then we'll stop. And let's do a little bit more crossover. Squeeze one shoulders, crossover, squeeze the other, crossover. So if you're ever feeling like foggy, just do crossovers. It'll really help with that fogginess. And now this one, which I love, let's bring the arms above. And I'm going to turn, well, I'm going to mirror you. So your left arm's going to come down and the right arm comes back. Make a big circle and then meet them again. Yeah. So you want me to do it this way?
Yeah. I feel like I'm a cheerleader.
Yes. And again, our proprioceptors atrophy, like everything else, which is how we relate in space, how we move in space. And that's why you see a lot of older people look like they're going to fall over because they don't know where they are in space. Similar to babies, newborn babies. That's why we what's that called? Swaddle them, because they're flaring.
Yeah.
They don't know where they are in space. That's what happens to us. So by doing these kinds of things, it helps to exercise that, where we are in space. And if you and it's also a coordination thing. And then go to the other side. So the other way would be your right arm comes down, your left arm is back, swing them around and back up. Swing them around, back up.
I was alternating and keep alternating. Is that all right?
Yeah. Do what you want. If you I had a really hard time with this when I first started going. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Think about it.
I know. It was like I was all over the place. But once you do it, the brain gets used to it, and then you know you're getting it. So it's doing something. So just doing this in the morning. And then, of course, if you decide to go out for cheerleading, you're ready to go. You can do an A. Yeah, you'll know how to do that. So that's a really good one to do, like on a daily basis. Okay, so let's, where was I? So we did our crossovers. Oh, now I wanted to do, let's start with rocking on a boat. So we're just going to lean forward on the ball mounts of the feet, shift into the heels. Forward in the ball mounts, shift into the heels. And just rock forward and back. So this looks like nothing, but this helps with our feet. It also helps pumping. It's another pumping. We're starting to pump because the kidneys is on the bottom, the ball mount of the foot, so we're activating that. So even walking does that too, but just rocking on the boat will get it going right away. It turns on that pump right away. Now, the next time you come forward, start to come into a little bit of a back bend. The arms come back, the head comes up, and then as you exhale, you're shifting to the heels. As you tuck the tailbone under, tuck the chin also, and then we come forward again. We're inhaling, coming on the ball mounts of the feet, looking up, opening up the chest. As you exhale, you shift into the heels, and tuck the tailbone under, tuck the chin in, feeling that in the back of the body, and then inhale. So what we're doing is getting this, it's kind of like a reed in the wind or bamboo in the wind. You're starting to get the spine open and flexible, and you're also getting that pumping action going in the body. So there's a lot happening with just this small movement. And this really is the basis for a lot of Tai Chi movements, Kung Fu movements. It's all about the feet, waist, and arms. So we're just going back and forth into these little movements. So this is all about restoration. We're restoring our body. We're getting it open and moving again. We're restoring what we have lost, what we've damaged over the years. And the idea is to restore the body enough so it could bring us back to health and balance and flexibility and strength and strengthening the organs. So we can live a really long time, but without any complications, or we're not spending the last 20 years of our life going to doctor's offices. Or disabled. Yeah, so just doing these little movements make a huge difference. So it starts to become part of your life. And then we'll release. So let's open the flow. We're going to inhale this time. As the arms come up, we're coming forward on the ball mounts of the feet, similar to what we just did, and then shift into the heels, arms come down. Inhaling up and exhaling down. So the arms become fluid. Like if you were in water, you would be buoyant. It would be easy. There'd be no stress on the body. That's kind of how we want our bodies to feel, that we're able to move through space with more grace and with more ease, rather than tension and tightness. And if somebody was to knock into us, we'd fall right to the floor. And we want to be able to catch that, somebody, if we trip even, go down gracefully.
Tuck and roll.
Tuck and roll. Yeah, tuck and roll. Rather than just go boom, boom. I mean, that's what happens. That's how we get hurt. That's how we break stuff. So just these little bit of movements, it starts to create something in the brain that says, I'm relaxed. The body's open. The body's circulating. The body's humming. It's like a car. You got a tune-up. Tune up our bodies. I'm just going back with very easy movements. And then release. So this next one, monkey, is the animal for Earth season. Monkeys are very playful. The movements are very playful. And we're going to be working with, remember I had said the toes, the big toe and the little toe is the spleen and the stomach. So that's what we're going to be working with. But first we're going to start with just lifting one arm up and then bring it down. And then bring up the other arm and bring it down. So there's a little bit of not a snap, but you're kind of lifting it up. Yeah, there you go. And down. Yeah, and down. It even feels good in the wrist and the arm. Now this time, just lift one heel off the floor and then release the heel and then come onto the other one. But bring all your weight onto that other leg and then release. So when you're lifting your toes up, you're tapping those two meridians. And we're starting coordination, and there's more of weight on the other side. So there's this heaviness and this lightness between the sides, which creates like a pumping action. You're squeezing the muscles, and it creates this pump. So again, we're pumping the spleen and the stomach. We're tapping those two meridians, the spleen and the stomach meridians, by just doing this. And then to coordinate this with your hands and feet. So let's bring our right arm up, and you're going to come to the toes of the left foot. So whatever arm is down, the heel will be up. Whatever arm is up, the opposite heel is up. And then we'll switch it. So now the left arm comes up, and the right heel comes up. The right arm comes up, and the left heel comes up. So do you feel that? Back and forth. So we're just doing these two actions. Again, it's really good for coordination. Soft, fluid arms. And I find this very soothing, just doing this.
Relaxing.
Yeah, it's relaxing too. But you're doing more than just doing this.
I think the staff should be in here.
Really?
Yeah, the whole staff, they've got us so
I think
bored.
we need this.
Yeah, we should tell them, although they gotta check the door.
Yeah, they gotta work. They have to temperature everybody. They're their job cut out. Okay, so now we can try to add a little playfulness into it. So when you come up, bring one hand to the hand that's up right to your mouth. Come to the other side. Playful monkey. But that's what we're doing. Do you remember what meridian this was?
Stomach?
Yes. So you're drawing up the spleen, bringing down the stomach. You're squeezing the pump to get some fluid going. So it becomes playful. Playful monkey.
I think we need a song.
We do. Now, if you want to add a little bit more, we can do little hops from side to side. So now the monkey's playing. So if you're in you could do this to music, to your own song, and just go back and forth. Again, good for coordination, right? And we're doing something. Now, if you want to add a little bit more, when we come slap that outside So it becomes dynamic. Or you could just come back to the hands. So did you ever do Dutch, what's that called?
Jump rope?
Jump rope Dutch, and you have 2 jump ropes, and you're,
Right.
that's what that is. So we were doing this. We were doing all these kind of movements when we were young. So just doing this is good. Then stop. Let's inhale, draw up, and gather, and then release. And then let's come into our mountain. So separate the feet. Arms are at your side. Hands are away from the side so you can let some of the armpits are open. So mountain. So maybe if you want to, you can close your eyes and visualize that picture that I had posted with the earth and the center of the earth, that core. That's what we're going to tap into. So 1 is fun, lifting the corners of the mouth up. We're dropping in some dopamine into our system. 2 is shu, we're bringing heat to the feet. 3 is tree, visualizing roots coming from the bottom of our feet into the crust of the earth. And then 4 is core, we're going into that core. That little ball that was in the center of that picture of the earth, the core of the earth, multi-lava, biomagnetic field. That's what we're tapping into. And then 5 is alive. We tap into that core and we start to lift it up into our bodies through the earth. So if you ever have a chance, do this outside. It's a nice thing to do in the morning as the sun's rising. And then we'll start to draw the earth energy up through the palms of the hands. And then you bring the arms above you, looking up. And if you're doing this outside, you can see the sun, the clouds. And then you take these 2 energies and then we bring them down our body. So we're using this biomagnetic field of energy and we're energizing ourselves. We're plugging in, that is our energy source. Our energy source is all around us. Learning to plug into this energy source, that's the whole thing. That's what Qigong is. Qigong is energy cultivation. We're cultivating this energy. We are energy beings living in form, and the form is our bodies. We're bodies living in energy, but it's more about energy living through form and how it moves through form, and how we can cultivate this energy to heal ourselves. And then bring the hands to wherever your bodies need some little extra energy. Like if your knees are hurting, maybe bring the hands to the knees, give it some extra attention. If you want to keep it at your stomach, for the season of stomach and spleen, and just tap into that understanding of what it means to tap into our energy source. And then we'll release and let go. So try to do that during the week, doing this outside. And if you do it, somebody had mentioned in class the other day, they were going to do it at night. Yeah, so it would be a whole, and that would be a nice way to actually end your day. If you have a hard time sleeping, it might be nice to connect with the moon, because the moon has different phases to it. A sun, it's one phase usually, but the moon, it waxes and it wanes. So you could get a whole different energy at night than you would in the day. So try it both times and just see the difference energetically, how it feels for you. And get back, I love hearing people, talk about, oh yeah, it's amazing what this just did, so.
This is from somebody else, but they recommend that you do sunrise in mountain pose, but with any correction not there. And you actually watch the sun. So the sun's rays go in and hit the inner part of your brain at the same time you're connected.
Yes, that's a beautiful thing to do. Yeah. So I would think you could do that with the moon too. Like I gaze at the moon, do moon baths, and it seems like that it's talking to you. It's almost like it's enveloping me. Like I get a lot of energy, especially for a full moon. It's a good time to do stuff like that. But yeah, we'll give that a try. So let's come to our seated postures now and do some stretching. And let's start with our more towards the front of the chair, and we'll just do some rotations of the body, of the spine. This will feel good in the belly and in the hips, maybe in the head and the neck. You also can move that around. And then go side to side too. That feels really good to me. And then we'll come back to center. And then let's start to come into a forward fold. So we can simply start by just keeping our elbows on our thighs and just dropping the head forward, getting some blood flow to the neck and the head. And if you want to take this into a further forward fold, then you simply come forward, dropping all the way forward. Noticing how that feels on the back of your spine. If you have any discomfort in your spine today, you don't want to come all the way forward. Just come to where it's comfortable. And then we'll slowly curl up one vertebrae at a time, stacking each vertebrae on top of each other. We'll do a couple of shoulder rolls, that'll feel good. And then let's take our right ankle on top of our left thigh, opening up the hip a little bit, maybe do some rotations with the foot. And then take your elbow and you're just going to press down on the inner edge of the thigh. Just giving a little, that'll help open up that hip joint. Does that feel good? Very good. And then if you want to come do another forward fold, you would fold forward. And you'll probably feel an opening in that hip joint, the outer hip joint. Yeah. So it's a good way to open up your hips with some support with a chair. And then we'll slowly come up and you're going to cross this leg over the other. Bring your hands in front of your knee, straighten your spine. And then you're going to take your left hand, keep it on your right knee, take your right hand and place it behind you. And you want to look right forward, and then we're slowly start to turn to the right. But it will be the belly that comes over, and then the ribs, and then the shoulders, the neck, and then the head into a forward fold. Into a twist. So twists are great for the spine. It's kind of like wringing out a sponge. It's a really good movement for the spinal cord and all your vertebrae. And then we'll release and we will come back to center. And we're going to switch sides this time. So we're going to cross over the left ankle on top of the right thigh and then press down with your elbow on the inner thigh. This will help open up your spleen also. It's part of the spleen meridian. And it also helps to open up that hip, which gets pretty tight. So if you ever have yourself traveling, I know you're going to be traveling, Mary Catherine, on the plane. You can do this kind of stuff on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not too.
The seats walk in.
Yeah. I heard JetBlue. My daughter flew them. My friends flew them, and they keep the middle aisle seat open.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it gives you a little bit more space. But there's enough space to do this. Or you can do it in the seat in the airport when you're waiting.
While you're waiting.
Yeah, and you can do all this stuff really on the plane, even. And then come forward, come over, and open up that hip. And it's a nice hip opener, and then we'll come back and then cross this leg over, bring the hands in front of the knees, straighten the spine before you come into a twist. Bringing your left hand behind you, the right hand's on that knee, and then we twist to the left. Starting to bring the belly over, and then the ribs, and then the shoulders, and then the neck, and then the head for a spinal twist. Take a couple of breaths here, because twists are just really good, bringing out the spine. Some blood flow there. And then slowly come back to center. release. So again, another thing you can do when you're sitting in an airport or something is tapping the toes. Or you could do a crossover too. So there's a lot we can do. We can do all this stuff. You can also tap in a chair. So even just doing this, tapping the toes, and then tapping both of them.
I don't know, I think you have to start a much bigger movement than just the three of us. They don't want to see that we're attracting attention.
Oh, I don't care if people think I'm not. You mean because if people see you doing it?
Yeah.
But you know what? People might ask, what are you doing? And you can tell them and they'll do it too.
Yeah. I would love to see a notice movement. Now that they have those screens up, let's put something on the screens worth doing and have the whole, everybody who's waiting for planes, anybody who wants to.
That's a great idea.
It is a wonderful idea.
Yeah, screen. Have a
Or
screen.
even
Even in the plane to do some of this stuff.
DMV, you might sit at DMV for 2 hours. Why don't they put something, okay, everybody up and stretched.
Yeah.
Everybody up.
Yeah, and it would be good for everybody's ego because everybody's like very timid, like I don't want anybody to see me.
Well, you know what, that's a marketing idea for you. You know, really,
I would love
produce
that.
the video, you
Yeah.
produce the video, and then sell it to the
Oh,
airline. Sell it to
there you
DMV,
DMV.
the bus station, Bonanza,
Yeah.
Wow.
Meridian bus station, wouldn't that be
Yeah,
transformative?
when people start traveling.
And I'm gonna tell you something, we're talking about it right now,
Yeah,
and I will guarantee you,
Somebody
like
else is
a year
thinking
from
of
now, when we're sitting here,
yeah.
if you have not acted on it, you're gonna be saying, Rouse, I just flew home, and you'll never guess what they said on the TV.
Darn, I missed it again.
An option on the TV thing they have to.
Yeah,
That's what
Where?
I mean.
Yeah.
Use those screens for something that actually
Rather
makes
than-
people happy.
news.
The
That's
news
your
makes
point.
people sad.
Yeah,
I know.
Or it makes them want to hide. Like,
We'll have to think
I
of-
don't want to hear that.
we'll have
This
to
is
think of
like
a name for it.
I'm
Happy
in the
screen.
age. And now
Happy
you're
flying.
smiling at
Happy-
everybody. You turn things over.
Don't be a Debbie Downer.
I'm making it fun.
Good idea. I'll have to look into
Yeah.
it. That is
Have a
actually a good
happy
idea.
flight.
Yeah, have a happy
Have a
flight.
happy
Yeah, why
flight.
don't they have exercises
I love
like,
that.
because they have movies,
Yeah.
right? And everybody's their individual screens. You can show people how
Yes.
to move in your seat. Yeah.
Well, you do it, we'll be your audience.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get Jim in here to produce it.
Okay.
And then you
Different
want
colored backgrounds.
friends who can translate it because you want it in multiple languages.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that, so
Yeah,
that
everybody
can
can use.
Oh, that's true. I think they have apps for that.
They do have an app
They
that
do.
will convert it.
Yeah,
to different
convert it to your
languages
languages.
for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to give some thought to that. It's actually a great idea.
That is
I would,
wonderful.
I
think it's
would, I would
wonderful.
like to see something wonderful come out of this
Me too,
disaster that
yeah.
we're going through right now. I'd like to find this a year from now in a better place instead of a worse place.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good intention,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, you know what, you hold that intention. Put that thought, put
I
form to
will,
that
thank you.
thought, and then focus on it.
Yeah.
Put your intention on that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah,
They're not going into the negative. They're just like, create the world, with your thoughts
yeah,
that you want to manifest.
yeah.
And if enough people are doing it, then it will
Right.
be.
You're holding space for higher consciousness.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
free travel again, freedom to travel,
Right.
but happy travel.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy
travel.
travel.
Happy
Happy
travel.
trails.
Happy trails.
I'll give some thought to that. So we can actually take a nap like this.
Oh,
You take your
really?
hands.
Or like
Oh,
this.
okay.
You go
yeah.
like this.
Like a teenager. Teenagers do that.
They do?
I did that.
They'll just sit.
I
and
did
just-
that as a
Especially
teen.
boys will sit
Oh,
with their head
okay.
in their hands.
And it feels good on your eyes too.
Mhm.
And take a couple breaths here. Since we can't lie on the floor in Shavasana, just take a little break here. This is an afternoon class, and this time is a great time just to rest a little bit. Do a little bit movement, because your food is probably digested from your lunch. You do a little bit movement, and then some people like to take a nap, or you can simply just rest like this. Again, if you're somewhere where you can't move, than just doing this on a plane. It would feel nice, or in a car. And feel the breath coming to the back of your body. Feel the movement of your back rising and falling. We're so used to just focusing on the front of our body to breathe, but you also want to get the breath to the back of your body. So, exaggerate this breath a little bit to expand the lungs in the back of your body, into the back of the ribs, in the back of the kidneys, in the back of the adrenals. So you're creating some space here with the breath as you expand it into the back, into the sides, and into the front of your body. Front, the sides, and the back of the body. Resting here. Little reprieve from the day, closing the eyes. As you bring the hands here, it'll create some blood flow to the brain and to your eyes. It'll flush them out a little bit. It's these simple movements that make the biggest impact. And if we do them often enough, the body will get used to it and want it more. Coming into a repose, taking a break from the day, taking a break from our worries, taking a break from thinking too much, looping too much. And then just release the hands. And you can feel it's kind of like a suction a little bit. Releasing the hands from the eyes, still keeping the eyes closed. Come back into your seat. We'll come into a relaxation before we end the class. So this is what this afternoon class is about. Taking a break. Breathing from your toes all the way up to the crown of your head. Your whole body is breathing. It's breathing up and down. It's breathing side to side. In and out. Soothing the brain and mind. Just being in the moment. Feeling the breath rise and fall as you inhale and exhale. Each inhalation bringing in oxygen as it goes through your body, comes out through the exhalation, letting any toxins out. Coming to that awareness of this exchange, the simplicity of your breath, the simplicity of inhaling and exhaling. Let the whole body breathe, not just the front or just the lungs. The whole body's breathing. You could feel it coming through your skin, breathing out your skin. The breath is energy, it's your life force. It's what makes us humans. The breath is our environment where we live. The fish environment is the water. Our environment, our chi, is the breath, the air, the oxygen, carbon dioxide, that exchange. In and out, full breath. And as the body, as the mind starts to soften and relax, you'll notice the breath will too. And the other way too, if you soften your breath and deepen the breath and slow it down, you'll feel that in your physical body and in your mind. So it's this relationship between the breath and the body. The breath is the bridge between your mind and your body. The breath is a bridge between your mind and your body. So breathe, let go, take in, let go. go of any restrictions, blockages. We can set an intention for our day, or maybe for the world, if you were talking about similar before, about positive. So intention could be, today I invite into my life. What do you want to bring into your life? Which really will transpire outside your life as well. So today I invite into my life. Set that intention with the corners of your mouth up as you smile into that intention to let it become even more powerful, more energetic, raising your vibration a little bit higher so it vibrates off of everything else. And then rubbing the hands together, once again, bring them very softly on your eyes. Going to transition slowly from this practice, returning back to your day, to the rest of your day, letting this practice, this afternoon practice, bring for you whatever you need. Namaste. To all of you. Namaste. Cut.